Spiritual disciplines. They do a self-assessment. Where are you at spiritually? They do a self-assessment psychologically. Do you have mental, emotional strongholds in your life? Where's that at? What about habits, volitional areas? How are you dealing with your thought life? And they do a self-assessment. Physically, this primarily focuses on diet and fitness and grooming and hygiene. I think sometimes we have to include those components in the training. And even some of us staff have been reinvigorated to deal with our fitness. Because I think this is good for staff too. Yeah. So this doesn't require rocket science. Bring someone in, relate to them and say, hey, we're going to assess your life. We go through relational. Primarily, we deal with family of origin issues and romantic things here. Primarily. Vocationally, what is your call? What are some of your aptitudes? What are some of the skills you're going to need to make it? And so there's some assessment done on that. And then we move to practically. What about time management? What about money management? And so they do a self-assessment. Now we're just shaping this. This is our first year. You could ask the students afterwards how it's going. So we talked about this. From that, we developed what's called a map. I think this is Gene's brainchild for a term. Maturity Action Plan. Up till then, we were calling it a personal discipleship plan. And they will set goals, 1 or 2 goals in each of these areas. And then they have to prioritize the top 3. Because you can't work on too many goals at once. And then every student has a mentor assigned to them. So all our staff, we have some mature campus people as well involved in this. And they meet weekly or every second week at the least. Depends on the schedule of the teacher and how many a person's mentoring and so on. And initially, they work on setting the map. What 3 primary, it might be spiritual disciplines, getting regular prayer life. For some, it might be a fitness goal. For some, it might be dealing with thoughts or a family of origin issue. Emotional issues. And so then as staff, we walk alongside them, we mentor. That's done very relationally. There's dialogue and interaction. From there, you help resource. Someone's working on career goals. Here's some resources. Let's do some personality assessments with you. So we're working on now compiling tons of resource in all these 6 areas, so that when staff need it, and you're dealing with this area, or maybe it's maybe it's a stronghold in their life, and you need something on that area. They're struggling with maybe some mood, depression, or whatever. Now, if it's too big, you line up counseling for them, and you learn how to assess that too. So we have a few students who are taking some counseling too. Now, not rocket science. But it was a brainchild that came as we were saying, how can we improve this? And we're excited about it. Once we refine the assessment, we trained mentors. We didn't have much time this year to train them all, but we're going to move to 3 mornings next year, 9 to 10 hours of training. And we've patterned a few things after Stephen Ministry, if you're familiar with that ministry. So the mentors receive training. What does it mean to be a mentor? How do you provide a safe environment for that student to share with you? What about these common issues that you might face? Confidentiality. What is that? And this is different from our discipline structure. How do you stay confidential? All those types of training. Those mentors have been trained, and now we have what we call compass meetings. Are you on track for your map? And so when we come, and what we do is we read our compass. And so when we come together in compass groups once a month, no student names are ever mentioned, it's confidential, but staff are looking for how do I become a better mentor in this situation. And so R stands for resource. We resource staff. We're working on that. E stands for encouragement. How do we encourage our staff to provide better care. A, accountability. Have you been meeting with your student? You know, is there a record of that? And D, direction. What direction do you need from us? And so we're doing that. I'm absolutely thrilled. Yeah. I don't know another Bible college in all of Canada that is doing that.
That's good. Great. What's the second one again?
R for read, E for encouragement, A for accountability, D for direction. And I'm like, now this, we've talked about this because this could be exported to churches. Now you can do it on your own, and maybe in a year or two, when by next year we polish everything and we get our system in place, you might have us come in and we'll train. What we would prefer to do is train your equippers. So you send someone, we'll train your equippers to go back and set up in your church a personal one-on-one mentoring discipleship program. And you take mature people in your church and you get someone who can equip them, you send the equipper, they go back to your church, they train the mentors that have been screened and selected by you. So it's not just Christian foundations, the navigator stuff. It's life change. It's relational. Now, I was excited about that because I thought, you know, you might know some of the teaching part of this, but here's a strategy that you won't know. I could provide something new for some of you seasoned, mature leaders, maybe in a new way. I'm sure you all mentor and stuff, but this is more of a systematic, intentional approach. Yes? D is direction. Giving direction. Okay? Okay. So this, we've been excited about, I don't know how, well, the students will get feedback from them at the end of the year. We've only done it for a month, 6 weeks or something. But I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with the fellows that I'm mentoring. Thoroughly. And I'm looking forward to more casual things and doing things, relationships that get built through that. And so sometimes it's going for ice cream and you talk, or a Coke. Sometimes it's sitting in your office and working out the details. And so it has different things. It might be, hey, you know, I'm going to, if you're free, I'm going to a ministerial, why don't you come along and you're going to come to the ministerial with me. Have lunch or whatever, right? I think there's lots of things that are there. Okay, so this is how it should have looked. The other one didn't do this. And I was in my rush. Relational. We need to learn through relationships. Secondly is instructional. Now, let me just go back to that relational one a bit. There's something burning in my heart, and this would be something I think would be a network thing. When am I supposed to be done here? Is it 12:15 or what is it? Oh, 12:30. Okay. 12:15. Okay, here's my thought, something that we can network together. What if, as leaders, we identified emerging leaders in our church? And this came to me back at the same time we were doing all this brainstorming as staff. And we would love to facilitate it, but it could travel different places or whatever. And we hold, because let's face it, not every emerging leader can make it to conference. I think this is a wonderful place. I'm so glad some of our students are here. But what if we were to look at the age, say 16 to 25, give or take a few years, and we held an emerging leaders retreat. An emerging leaders, I'm stealing it from Bill Hybels' summit. And our seasoned leaders, and we can rotate them in, and we have that, and we envision those emerging leaders with the DNA of the FCA, with the heart of the FCA, church planting, and leadership development, and a call to ministry, and we help them figure out who are you and what gifts do you have, and we have workshops, and we teach them basics of leadership and how you can be an influence in your church and how you can support your pastor and how you can be an influence in your school and in your community. And we intentionally begin investing at that age of 16-ish and up. What if we did that? What could come out of that? Relational. And they're hearing the heartbeat of the fellowship because we're pulling in leaders from the fellowship. Another idea I get excited about. Those things excite me. Okay. Learning through teaching. How many know that Jesus had teaching periods with his disciples? It's pretty obvious. You know what? We call the